So here is the overball from New York. It's late. I'm in my bed. We have a shooting of my film, and I have to react to Charlie Kirk being shot and dead. And I watched a lot of videos from Charlie Kirk, and I have to say, um, I like that guy. I'm an atheist. He was very Christian, very strong intellectual. He knew about history, and for sure he knew about the Bible. But he's touring over campuses and everywhere, universities and so on, um, talking to everybody, debating everybody: Palestine, Israel, Ukraine, Europe, migration, whatever subject matter it was. He was prepared and he had knowledge, and I respect that. As I always said in my videos, you cannot only watch Fox News, you also have to watch CNN. You cannot only listen to Joe Rogan, you also should read the New York Times. Yeah, that's harder, and you don't get a lot of fans, but I want to repeat that tonight here. Um, because I think Charlie Kirk died because of the culture we developed now in an unacceptable way, that both sides clashing about things. He had only positivity, like he was never aggressive. So he is a real victim of this culture of who doesn't have my opinion has to die. That's the reality what happened here today. That happened too when they tried to shoot Trump and then later tried to make it like somebody on purpose shot him in the ear. You know, I mean, I have weapons. I'm in a shooting club. You cannot gamble on this from like 300 feet, to just make a stunt to shoot somebody in the ear. No, that's too risky. And so the reality here is that Charlie Kirk openly went everywhere and debated everybody and proved, I think, that violence is absolutely unacceptable from whatever side it comes from. Absolutely unacceptable. You can debate, you can talk about things, you can overvote things, but you cannot turn violent against your people that have a different opinion, people that vote for a different party. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to storm the Capitol if you don't like the outcome of an election. It's unacceptable to attack people that are against abortion. And it's also unacceptable to basically fight or kill people because of anything like whatever. Is in Gaza a genocide, or are the Israelis have the right to go after the terrorists who killed 1,200 Israelis? All that stuff has to be discussed, has to be in any form kind of debated. But there's no way on earth, and I think that's where we should be, and we're not, as we see with the violent outbursts, the wars, the killings worldwide, where we should say we draw the line in killing each other in general. And Charlie Kirk was not walking away from debating people who hated him, from debating people who had absolutely different opinions about him. And I saw him at Bill Mayer in Club Random, and Bill Mayer is an atheist like me. And they discussed with decency, but also with humor, and also on an intellectual high level, the Bible and all kinds of things. What is in the Bible? All kinds of things. What could happen in the history? What couldn't happen? And Charlie Kirk was not offended. He was like, okay, was talking to Bill Mayer, who we all know for 40 years, making jokes about believers, jokes about religion, whatever, but in a way that you can intellectually react to it and be thinking about it, like proving yourself if I'm wrong or I still believe in God or whatever, right? And that's the thing. And I think that what happened here today with Charlie Kirk is not only unacceptable, but it's also like kind of a clear warning. Like if we continue going down that route to like whoever is not my has not my opinion needs to go to jail, needs to lose the job, has to be cancelled, has to be killed, whatever, then we are on the very bad route. You know, we're on a very bad route, like in Europe, when they want to disallow the AfD party because they want to stop migration. That's the freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of art, freedom, you know, like that's freedom, that's democracy. That you have to hold out, like you have to like accept that people have different opinions about subject matters. And then the best arguments should win when the voters decide, like, okay, what's the situation? Do I want more migrants or not? You know, stuff like this. Do we have a responsibility to take migrants in or not? That's all up for discussions. And uh, I think it's an unbelievable problem we're facing more and more, thanks also to social media and people getting radicalized in both sides. I think the Antifa, the left wing Vogue, is the same, has the same violent kind of instincts, and is not less violent as right wing Ku Klux Klan crazy fascist. I think that's the great thing. Yeah, well, your mic is messed up. I don't know why, but I cannot help it. But I'm also live here on Insta. To follow me over undersigned ball, undersigned films on Instagram. Maybe it's the better quality. So, and I think, yeah, somebody asked me if I'm a centrist. No, I have, I force myself to take informations in from all sides, and then I come to different conclusions about different subject matters. We had, because of Charlie Kirk, we talked today about, um, for example, climate change. And I think the name Earth warming, whatever, is not nailing it. And we have now two sides. The one thing is like, if we don't shut all fucking engines off, we're dead next weekend. That's the Greta Thunberg climate change crazy people, the last generation people. And then we have the other side who says there's no climate change, it's all a hoax, total bullshit, whatever. And that is what I mean with putting informations in from all sides. And I think it's very important to see, yes, there is cold where the ice is melting, and that's not good. There is water temperatures who were rising and fish are dying. There are plastic in the oceans everywhere, and that it's very bad because we eat fish what is full of plastic because we put the fucking plastic in the oceans. But there are solutions. There are special filters and special nets who can get plastic out of the ocean. So the coral reefs, who are very important for the CO2 absorption, whatever, they could recover. But did somebody talks about it? No. They're talking only about, oh, pay $50 more to offset your airplane ticket. But that airplane ticket is not getting offset. You're still in the airplane, it still burns the fuel. Just the airplane company makes more fucking money. It's all that's totally all bullshit. We're living in a bullshit way of different interests who both sides don't nail the situation. And that is where I come in. That's maybe the reason I have only a few thousand followers and not like hundreds of millions, like a lot of YouTubers who always say exactly the same in the same way as everybody else. That's the reason that Ben Shapiro is very successful because he said, whatever fucking Israel is doing, it's completely okay and adequate to do whatever, you know? And when Joe Rogan says there was no COVID and it was all bullshit and what, whatever, like these people have a lot of followers. I don't uh, go this way down. Sorry. Also, not with my movies. I study a lot of things. I've read thousands of books. I studied literature. I'm a doctor of literature, whatever. But all this thing doesn't matter. But what I really learned, and that is what I want you to learn here in that video quick, is, for example, if you study literature, if you really study literature, it's not like you read a book, you write about it, you like it or not, you summarize it, whatever. When it comes to science, then a guy writes a book like Goethe or whatever, writes a fucking book. Your job, if you're a literature science guy, is Goethe wrote that book. What happens in that book? But at the same time, what he wrote before, what he wrote after, how he grew up, what was the influence on that guy, whoever the writer is, to that book? What are the social environment he was in? What was the historical period he was in? What other books he read before he wrote that book? That's fucking science. And that's what they all don't do. A Joe Rogan or whatever. He Googles people, then they're sitting in his talk show, and then they're talking about shit they saw in other talk shows. But that's not science. So, and when it comes to political history, like to put it all in perspective, I think then it's enormously important to put the work and the hours in. And the least thing, as I said, what you have to do is don't watch only Fox News, watch CNN too. Both are maybe bullshit. But you cannot, you have to force yourself. If you don't fall in the trap of the social media or the algorithms, whatever, you have to force yourself to read the other opinion, the other way of looking at things. And don't get only consumed up by one point. And I think that's the problem. That's the problem. And you cannot justify now, like some people do, justify the killing of Charlie Kirk because he was against abortion. He should die. He was pro-gun, so if he gets killed by a gun, that's then his fault. That's bullshit. He was a decent, he was a father of two, was a decent human being, was not aggressive, he discussed everybody, gave everybody a fair shot. So that was Charlie Kirk. That's ridiculous that somebody is justifying the killing of Charlie Kirk. That's just wrong and off. That violence is no solution for anything. That's the fact. And whatever subject matter you go to, you have to dig in and you have to make your opinion about it and you have to think about it. That's the reality. So, you cannot, for example, now blame Ukraine that the Russians invaded them and blame them that they try to stay independent, and blame them that they ask for weapons or money to defend themselves. You cannot blame Ukraine. But you also cannot act like Russia didn't have any reason to invade Ukraine. You cannot deny that the NATO moved east year after year after year, even after the Berlin Wall came down. That the Russians got isolated, that they were basically threatened that Ukraine turns into the NATO, turns into the EU, and they didn't want that because they have the big harbor at the Crimea, and they were scared to lose the Crimea. All that stuff, you cannot just totally deny that and say in all the news that the Russians, without any reason whatsoever, invaded the Ukraine. Was it a crime? Absolutely. That's ridiculous that they tried to invade the Ukraine, that they take over the Ukraine. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, you cannot say there was no reason for it. And out of the blue, because Putin had a bad day, let's get into the Ukraine, even if fuck about the Ukraine, it doesn't matter. We do a 3 years war, 4 years, 5 years war for the Ukraine. Of course, they had that reason, what I just said. They got promised when the wall in Berlin came down that the NATO is not expanding to the east. And they broke the word. The NATO broke their word to Putin. They put Russia into the EU, into the circle. They radicalized him. So that's the same with the Ukraine. The same with Israel. In all that years and years and years, the fucking Arabs, left and right, tried to omit Israel, tried to kill all the Jews. They want to get rid of the Jews. They want to kill them all. The Qatar, all the rich Dubai fuckers who pay all the boxing on the zone and all that stuff. They finance the terror attacks against Israel. They want to get rid of Israel. That's the fact. We have to see the reality here, what's going on, right? They want to kill all Jews. It's not like, oh, we want to peacefully live with you. No, they want to kill all Jews and wipe them off the land map. That's the reality. And Israel, in all that years, reacted to terror attacks. Terror attack here, rackets here, whatever. And then the Israel reacted, and they reacted bigger. They killed more people. They did more damage as the terror attacks did. All that years. So then came the big one with the 1,200 people massacred, hostages, whatever. And they felt, look, the fucking Gaza is full of Hamas terrorists, so now we're going in. And we get the hostages back, and we kill all the Hamas people. Then they recognize, oh, fuck, that's way more work. It's way harder to find all the Hamas people. We don't know. It's even hard to find all the tunnels. It's even hard to find all the hostages. So now that's the problem. I think that's really the conundrum they are in. Only a few million people, not like hundreds of millions, like all the Arabs around. So, and now they go overboard. They kill a lot of innocent people. They kill old women. They kill children in Gaza. 100%. That's not okay. That's not okay. You cannot, because of like a 200 hostages somewhere in the tunnels, now kill randomly everybody, and then you destroy all of Gaza, and nobody takes the people. So now, what do you want to do with the million people? You want to kill them all, or you kill houses, and they starve to death in the where in the desert. I mean, that's ridiculous. What Israel is doing is ridiculous. Let's face it. But it's still understandable, and still the aggression came from Hamas and all the terrorists. So that's also a fact. History and reality is a lot of times complex and problematic. That's what I want to say. So, and yeah, I mean, it's sad. And I felt like laying here, sleeping, and tomorrow we keep shooting here. I felt like an unnecessary death of a young guy who turned into an internet sensation or internet star, but who also had some substance and was never insulting the other opinion. That's just not really problematic, and I see on Instagram people are aggressive against me, whatever, flipping out, free Palestine. Yeah, like the problem is that it's not so easy. It's not like 1,200 Israelis didn't got raped, killed, breast cut off, head cut off, stabbed. If that wouldn't happen and Israel would just went into Palestine, then we have a clear cut thing, you know. Then the guilt problem is on Israel. But the Hamas killed so many people, and a lot of people in Gaza celebrated that in a almost animalistic way. And that's what I say where I cut where my line is. We cannot support violence in any form. You know, you cannot do this. Like you cannot celebrate killing of civilists, and I think that's a big problem. You know, yeah. What should I say? That's my opinion, and I don't have, um, you know, I will just not really change my opinion about things because I normally say my opinion after I dig deep into something, even if I always come across amateurish, you know, not sitting in a podcast studio, no perfect quality, but think like don't do to other people what you don't want that they do to you. Period. That's the rule number one. And I think that's very, very important for everybody to listen to this and learn. And nothing is worse it that uh, these people flip like out on each other and getting violent. Nothing. There's no reason that Charlie Kirk gathered that masses on audience. If you don't like him, don't go there. He would never gain that kind of like crowd, you know. But he gained that crowd because people liked him, liked the debates, because that is democracy as it should be. That people talk to each other and have different opinions and then have an open mind and let other opinions have an impact and other informations having an impact. I think that's very, very important. If you don't do that, if you block all other opinions out because you made your mind up, then you're already a victim. You're not there where you should be. And I think that's the biggest problem we face in today's algorithm, internet, society. And this is unacceptable. And Gage, when you he was a judge, he was the big defender of guns, and like you said, rampages, gun control, things that like, would never be happen. And yeah, that's maybe true. It's one of the points. You will not take all the guns off the streets, and you would have to go at the house and take all the guns, and maybe Charlie Kirk would not get shot. But that's not the key issue here. I think the key issue is that somebody felt that guy has so many fans and has so many different opinions as myself that I have to kill him. And that's the problem. I think that's the real problem here. And you know, and it's the thing is it's either it's white or black. It's never gray. What you say, yeah, it's you know, that's not really. It's gray. A lot of things are gray, and you could have either or. When you talk about abortion, that Charlie Kirk was against abortions. Here's the deal. I think it's completely absurd to disallow abortions, but you have to limit abortions to like 12 weeks, right? So, because then you have an embryo like this. When the embryo keeps growing faster and you have almost like a real embryo like this size and looks like a baby almost, then abortion shouldn't be allowed anymore, because that's kind of almost, on month 7 you can birth a baby like it could survive, right? So, and that's the thing. So I'm pro abortion, but you need to say till when. In Europe, normally we just have 12 weeks. You can say you can abortion. And I think that's kind of the middle ground. So I disagree with people who say no abortion at all. I completely disagree. There are people that are getting raped, they don't want the kid, they cannot afford a kid, they made a mistake. I think, of course, you should get the pill after, or you should be able to do an abortion till 12 weeks, 100%. So, but I'm also not pro, like when it's too late, you cannot make an abortion. Then whatever, you can put your kid up for adoption, but you cannot kill the kid anymore if it's already breathing and basically possible, ready to get out there and live. So that's kind of like where I draw the line. And I think with most of the things, that's the thing where if you use your brain um, um, to get to it, So, yeah, nah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, they posting stuff, uh, and yeah, everybody want to kill everyone. Once again, no in between. I agree. So that's the thing with me. I'm on the same page, but uh, yeah, like the bad activist writes, Kirk, I'm celebrating tonight because he's dead. Yeah, good for the bad activist. And if that is your opinion, for me, you're a fucking piece of shit. That's my opinion. So you just have to be, uh, yeah, accept this, because I will never, uh, like, accept, as I said, the violence, um, and be pro doing violence to an individual person. And yeah, that's it from my way. So I wish you all the best. Good night. I have to sleep. I have to work hard. And yeah, you know, don't do to other people what you don't want that they do to you. That's my 5 cents to it. Good night. You also on YouTube. Yeah, maybe when you're young, people celebrating, like some people on Instagram, they celebrated that Charlie Kirk is dead. And maybe when I was young, uh, I would never do it. That's the empathy, like feel with other human beings. Even if you don't believe God or afterlife. Uh, yeah. Okay.